Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome along to our webinar this afternoon on 10 effective steps, 10 things you can do when you feel like your church isn't growing anymore. So great to have you here with us. Jump in and tell us where you're watching in from, where you're listening in from. If you're on the YouTube or whether you're on the StreamYard clip, great to have you here with us today. So jump in and just jump into the comments and just tell me, where are you from? Where are you watching from? Jump into those comments and give us a bit of feedback. And I hope you can all hear me. If someone can jump in right now and say, yes, I can hear you, that will allow me to just also relax a little bit. Also, while you're telling us where you're from, why don't let me throw another question in here. How long have you been in your current role? I can hear you. Thanks, Jefferson. Appreciate that. Charles from Texas. Great to have you here. Long Island, New York. Hi, Sarah. Great. James from Kenya. Great to have you. Got the Globe happened today from C3 in Tamworth. Great. John from Queensland. So good to have so many people piling in. And g'day from Bunbury as well. G'day, Mark. Great to have you here. Thomas. Glad you can hear me. Jump into the comments and just answer this question for me. How long have you been in your current role in your church, whether you're a pastor or a leader, an elder? Got other people there from Ipswich as well in Queensland. I think that might be Ipswich. There's a number of Ipswiches around the world. Tell us how long you've been in your current role, whether it's a pastoral role. Jonathan, 10 years. Wow, that's awesome. Whoops, let me just go back to my comments here. Lost track of what was going on there. Brian Webber, 19 years. Hi, Brian. Great to have you here as well. Thomas, 1 month. Wow, fresh in that new role, which is fabulous as well. I'm just checking through the comments here before we get going. Just like to see 6 years for Sarah. Awesome. And who else we got here? We've got 19 years, 17 years. Paul, brilliant. Well done. 17 years is great. James, let me just see. 11 years. Well done, James. 11 years in your current role. And also, I'm just trying to read all these comments. I'm from Michigan. Michigan. Wow. Awesome. Jefferson, assistant pastor of Bible Baptist Church for 2 years. Fabulous. I wonder what the time is over there in Michigan right now. I feel like it's late in the night, late in the evening over there. John's been pastoring since 1986. My goodness. Well done, John. I think you should be doing this seminar. Current role since 2020. Well done. Well, I think we'll jump into the webinar and kind of get rolling here today. Let me just turn my screen around a little bit. Just a little bit about myself. Let me just do adjustment here. There we go. That's better. 30 years as a pastor here in Perth, Australia. And it's great to have such a massive international group of people today. I've got a master's in leadership. Graduated from that, I think, about 14 years ago now. I have a diploma in professional coaching. The last 14 years, I've been a consultant and a coach working with about 10 different denominations across Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and the UK. And I've done 191 consultations with churches in that time. So today's webinar, who's going to benefit most from this? Well, if you're a church leader who wants to grow your church, I think you're going to get some benefit from today. If you're a church leader who feel that your church is kind of not where you want it to be, and this probably could be every church leader on the planet say that, but you feel your church is stuck, it's not got the momentum that you want, doesn't have the sense of progress that you want it to have. If you're coping with a lack of growth, even maybe a declining church, I think that'll be helpful for you today as well. And maybe you've got a growing church, you're actually in a season of growth and you're seeing new people come in and people coming to Christ, and you feel like you have momentum, but you want to sustain that momentum. You want that momentum to grow even stronger than what you've got. So let me tell you what I'm going to give you today. Today you'll get some definite next steps. I'll give you some very specific things. I've been in ministry now 44 years, 30 years as a pastor. So I am wired to be particularly pragmatic. So I'm going to give you some clear next steps, things that you can action immediately from the webinar today. You won't have to do any more training somewhere else. I will offer you some extra bonuses for turning up today and offer you more training resources. But you'll also get some takeaway of next steps. You'll get some clarity. I think clarity is just a wonderful gift from the Lord. Whenever we're confused and perplexed, we tend to slow down, or we tend to say no, we tend to go, oh, I'm not sure. When you have clarity, you're able to have movement. It's just like walking down a sidewalk, a footpath. When you've got a clear way ahead of you, you tend to move with a fair degree of speed because you can see clearly, you know where you're going. So I think some clarity will come. Definitely got some resources for you. Got a giveaway for you today as well that's connected to those resources, but you've got the opportunity to jump into some resources today because you've turned up to the webinar. And thank you firstly for registering. And if you're watching on the replay, I know for some people these hours are not going to work. Hard to work with a 24-hour globe. But if you're watching on the replay, you can jump into those resources as well. But thank you for registering. And also thank you for those who have turned up. And we'll have some actionable solutions for you. Things that you'll be able to actually get into and action. Before we look at the 10 things you can do when your church stops growing, I just want to address this thought of what stops a church from growing. What hinders growth? What are the barriers? And some of these things will be apparent to you. Some may be not as apparent. Some may feel like, gee, I've never heard that sort of thought before. So I hope this will open your heart and mind up as well as to actually some of the things that you battle with as a pastor, as a church leader, in terms of your growth. So I think your location can be actually a barrier to growth. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you're in a regional town that has 1,500 people in it, it's hard to grow a medium-sized church, let alone a large church with that level of restriction. It's just a numbers thing. You're not going to have a church of 3,000 in a church town of 1,500 unless you draw from a big area around. But that's really unusual. And if we hear those stories, it's important to know they're unusual. Also in location, I live by the beach here in Australia on the western side of the continent. And I coach a pastor who has just actually handed his church over last year, but been coaching him for about 10 years. And we'd walk alongside the beach during our coaching sessions. He didn't want to sit in a cafe. He actually wanted to sit, walk and talk, as it were. And I said to him one day, I said, actually, your location works against you for growing your church. And he said, what do you mean? Well, you're right on the beach here. They started out right by the beach and they were meeting in a hotel conference room. And I said, half of your catchment area is that ocean right out there. There's a whole bundle of fish out there, but there ain't any people out there. And so if you moved your church in 20 minutes inland to another suburb, not that he wanted to do that, but I said, if you moved it there, you'd have a bigger catchment area of people. So even in that sort of strange way, your location can make a difference. You might be on the edge of a city and there's not much housing one direction, a lot of housing a couple other directions. All these things do impact on our ability to actually grow our church. Whoops, here we go. Culture disconnect. There's the Mercedes. You may have seen in the emails that I sent out, I talked about what on earth has Mercedes cars got to do with church growth. If your car park is filled with expensive imported cars like a Mercedes, like an Audi, just like it might be a fabulous sort of Lamborghini sitting in your church car park, and all the area around your church, 15 minutes around your church, are filled with 2001 Hyundais. Nothing wrong with the 2001 Hyundai, but there's a disconnect. People who are driving expensive imported cars are coming to you from a certain socio-economic background. And that area, and there's nothing right or wrong about this, it's just observing the culture that's around your church. that if everyone around your church is in a low socioeconomic, everyone in your church is a high socioeconomic, you will have a cultural disconnect. It's like if you're in a retirement village town, they exist, or in a university college town, and you're reaching in your church in a university college town, your church is filled with people over 60. It's going to be a cultural disconnect. It can work, but it's going to be more challenging for you. So it's important, I think, that churches match the demographic around them as a general rule. Again, always outliers with these scenarios, but I think it helps us understand sometimes why churches don't grow when you look at the marked difference between the people inside your church and those in the surrounding areas. Inward focus. This will kill every church. Here's this people having a party, looks like colors everywhere. And what are they doing? They're taking a selfie. A selfie church won't grow and won't be healthy. When a church is just focused on itself, they have a selfie-centered life, they're not going to grow because they're not going to have a passion for the community. They'll kind of get annoyed when someone comes in and sits in their seat. This is my seat. What are you doing there? Oh, I'm a visitor. Well, you shouldn't be sitting in my seat. I mean, I have heard horror stories of those sort of things happening, where the church has become a country club. It's become a club that's for the members, but the church doesn't exist for its members. It exists for those who are outside, who don't know Christ, who desperately need the gospel. And one of the major changes we made in our church when I became the lead pastor of our church is we spent a good 5 years changing the culture from being selfie-centered to being outward focused. And it really launched a lot of church planting in our church. We launched a brand new church. We planted a brand new church every 3 years during the 20 years that I led our church and helped our church become outward focus. Barriers to involvement. My wife and I had an interesting experience some years ago in talking to a pastor in a mega church in Melbourne here in Australia. And the pastor told us that if a new person didn't get involved in a small group or in serving within 12 months, 93% of their new people left. They didn't stay. So I think a key thing for growth is to really analyze, once someone has decided to join your church, how hard is it for them to join a serving team or join a small group? Because in serving teams and small groups, they'll build relationships, and those relationships will be the glue. Now, Pastor, people might come to your church because you're an amazing Bible teacher, brilliant preacher. They may love the worship, but they'll stay primarily because of the community relationships. They'll come for the content, they'll stay for the community. So think about how hard is it for someone to join a group in your church or to join a serving team? What are the barriers to involvement? Lowering those barriers makes a big difference to growing your church. And a church can decline because it's just too hard to get relationally connected in a church. Exhausted pastors. With my consulting, I run into quite a few tired pastors who haven't had good boundaries around their days off, haven't been taking really good holidays and good breaks from the stress of ministry, and are worn out and tired. And that will work against you growing a church. De-energized, unmotivated, just pastor is just ticking the boxes, just kind of posting it in, not really energized in their ministry. Sometimes, one of the best ways to set your church up for growth is pastor to take a really solid 3-week holiday, 3 weeks unplugged, get energized again, get innovative and creative in your thinking again, and it'll help. And the last thing that can stop a church growing, this will sound funny, but is God. There's a sovereignty in size, as my mentor, Dr. Phil Pringle, says. There's a sovereignty in the size of your church. God determines certain things about our church, our thumbprint, our mission, our core values, but I think also our size. And I think sometimes you just have to come to a point as a pastor and say, hey, this is our size, this is my capacity, but I'm going to make it the healthiest church possible. And that's why we called our ministry Grow a Healthy Church. So grow, but be a healthy church. We didn't start a ministry called Grow a Mega Church. I might have got more clients with that sort of promise, but I think they would have been disappointed pretty quickly. And I think there is an aspect of understanding the call of God in your church growth. Why don't we jump back in the comments here, and thanks for all your comments you're making. If you do have a question as I go along, I will have a section for Q&A right at the end of the webinar. If you have a question, if you could just put that into the comments and start it off with capitals question. So as I scroll back through the comments, it'll be easy to find. So if you've got a question anytime, I won't stop and answer questions as I go. Feel free to jump in with a question there as well. So that would be helpful. Let me throw this little question in here. What's your biggest challenge at the moment? If you look at your church, what's your biggest challenge? Have a look at that question in the comment there. What is your biggest challenge currently in your church? Is it around, let me see, what have I got here? What's the biggest challenge? Serving numbers? I've got to make sure I put the right question. Is it serving numbers of people serving? Is it groups? Is it Sundays? Is it finance? Is it actually the growth of the church? Or is it actually reaching out into your community? Just pick one of those numbers if you'd like to jump in. Now, you might feel like, no, I'm just happy to be anonymous and roll along with what's going on here. But talk about really what sort of areas do you think your church is battling with at the moment? Paul's got a few there. You can use multiple if you want. What's the biggest challenge for you? 1 and 4, 4, serving numbers there, financial stress after transitions to new senior leaders, finances. There's a number of pastors there who are just church leaders saying finance is a challenge. And it is a significant challenge out there. Thanks, Mark, for your comment. Fantastic outline of barriers to growth as well. Appreciate that comment. Feel free to jump into the comments or just walk along with others. Brian says their biggest challenge is number 1, which is serving numbers, getting people involved, getting them across the line there. There's always heaps of challenges, isn't there, around church life. There's no doubt about that. It's challenging to be a pastor. No doubt about that at all. Okay, let's jump into the main thing of what we're here for. 10 helpful things you can do. And I just need to, thanks for that comment there, John. I'm just going to hide that comment. We'll come back to those. And thanks again. Just pop your questions in as you want to and as you would like to. And we'll keep jumping in. Let's have a look at these 10 helpful things to do. Now, this sounds like a cliche, doesn't it? Pray. I think if your church has kind of, you feel it's a bit stuck, or maybe it's in growing season, or maybe it's actually you feel like you're going backwards, you feel like there's a decline going on. The first thing I would tell you as a church leader is to go to the Lord, is to actually take the burden of whatever you're working with. And I'm working with pastors actually who have growing. There's a couple of pastors, one of them's a mate of mine, another pastor I'm consulting with. Their churches are booming, growing, just kind of crazy. They're not quite sure why. I think there is that sovereignty, mystery factor in growth. And whether your church is in that season, which creates its own pressures, to be honest with you, or whether you're feeling like, gee, we're going backwards, or we're just feeling like we're stalled, I want to encourage you to have a fresh season of seeking the Lord. You may need to combine it with fasting or Bible binging. I love binging the Bible. I think it's a great way to renew your soul. But to take that burden to the Lord, to really seek the Lord, to say, Lord, why is our church where it's at? What are you doing in the life of our church? To seek the Lord, to call your elders, your board members, your staff, your key leaders, to call them to a special time of seeking the Lord. And, you know, in the start of the year, I've just heard of so many churches that are doing prayer and fasting at the start of this year, which is just fabulous. Because I think as you seek the Lord, number one, it gives you a place to release the burden of church growth to the Lord, because it can be a pressure about why is that church growing? Why is it not growing? To release that burden, but also gives you a chance to say, Lord, give me some pathway forward. Give me some solutions in this. And I'm praying today that this webinar hopefully will be maybe one of the solutions that will be helpful for you. Secondly, enjoy the exploits of Christ. I really want to encourage you that the Lord is working in your church. Even if your church is not growing at the rate you want it to, Jesus is working every single minute, hour, day, week, month, year. He's always doing something. Sometimes we can see it. Sometimes it's apparent. It's obvious. Sometimes we're kind of, where is it? Where are you working, Lord? Are you working behind me? I can't quite see it. So one of the things I would encourage you to do as a pastor, as a church leader, is when you talk to people in your church, ask them, what's the Lord been doing in your life in the last 12 months? Give people a long timeline. Don't say in the last 24 hours. People go, oh, well, I'm not quite sure. But what's the Lord been speaking to you about? What scriptures are strong in you? What's been happening in your relationships, in the church community? What's the emphasis that the Holy Spirit's bringing into your world? What has God done for you in the last 12 months? How can you see the blessing of God? Just those sort of questions. And what you'll find is you'll draw out of people stories that will encourage your heart as a pastor. And it'll remind you that even if your church doesn't seem to be growing at the pace you want it to grow, that God is at work. And isn't that the primary thing of what we're trying to do as pastors and church leaders, is to see the kingdom advanced in people's lives, to see people following Jesus, to see discipleship happening. I think it's sometimes good for a pastor to go to some of their small groups and ask the group, hey, tell me some of the things the Lord's been doing in the last year or two in your life. Give me some feedback of what God's been up to, what He's been working into your life in a fresh way, and get a few people to share, because it'll boost your heart. So if you're feeling pressured, I mean, you're always going to feel pressured at times as a pastor, aren't we? But you'll find some space to go, you know what, Lord, you're working. And I really need to just stop, count my blessings, the old hymn, count my blessings, name them one by one, and realize, Lord, you're at work. And I need being exposed. And I find sometimes, especially if you have a medium to large church, you can get quite disconnected with the fact of how God is working in people's lives. Smaller churches, a bit easier. You kind of get around and talk a bit closer and easier with the number of people you've got. But set up some ways for you to understand and see where God is in doing things and enjoy those exploits of the Lord. Number 3, this is a real passion of mine, and there are some folks joining us today who have worked with me and know about my passion in this area. Refresh your visitor pathway. Recently, the church I'm consulting with at the moment, Sunday week ago, I went and visited their church as a mystery shopper, if you like. I visited there, I just told the pastor, large church, went to their first morning service and said, look, I won't let you know I'm coming. You'll know I'll be there one of the services, but don't say anything about me. I'll just hide in the crowd. And I want to experience your visitor pathway, and I'll give you some feedback on it. So I came, I parked the car, I wandered in, I sat down, I enjoyed and engaged with the service, and then someone approached me and talked to me afterwards, and I went home and I thought about the experience, gave my pastor I'm working with some feedback on it. Have a look at your visitor pathway through the eyes of a visitor. Maybe ask a friend to visit your church and then talk you through what was it like to park the car? What was it like to actually find the place? What was it like to find the front door, to walk in? What was the service like for you as a visitor? What was it like? Did you connect? Did anyone talk to you? Was the connection any good? What was it like? What was it like for you to engage with us as a visitor? And after you left, what was our engagement with you like? Think through all this. Now, you can experience this kind of if you're part of the church already, but it's very hard. But I think get someone to do this for you. But at the very least, have a look at your website, your social media, have a look at your parking, look at your foyer, look at your connections, look at your church service through the eyes of a visitor. And it can be sometimes a bit of a rude awakening, actually, to get this happening. But it's a fabulous thing to do because you understand your visitor pathway may need some refreshing. It might need some fresh work. And sometimes, Pastor, here's an idea. Take a Sunday off and go and visit a large church in your city and experience being a visitor for the first time. It'll open your eyes to what it's like and how kind of it can be a bit daunting actually to do it. But refresh your visitor pathway. I've got resources to help you on my website and also inside our hub community. There's great resources there to help you on this journey as well. Number 4, slay the comparison giant. It's very normal to compare your church to other churches. And if you've got a church in the next suburb that's growing and booming, you're gonna do the comparison. It's just gonna happen. You're very human, you're very normal. But I love how Jesus handled this with Peter in John 21, when he said, hey, Peter, this is how your life's going to end. People are going to take you where you don't want to go. And Peter hears that, and Peter turns around and said, what about this bloke? The beloved disciples next to him said, well, that's fine for me. What about him? And I always imagine Jesus rolling his eyes at this point going, oh, really? Really? I've just told you how you're coming to an end, and you're worried about the bloke next to you. And Jesus said, look, if I want him to live until kingdom comes, what is that to you? If I want to bless him in a different way than I bless you, if I want to lead him in a different way to you, what is that to you? It's a brilliant question. And I think it's a question to ask ourselves when we see other churches, and there will always be other churches growing larger than ours, different to ours, seemingly more blessed than ours. Their Instagram feed is just astonishingly brilliant and depressing to look at. The Lord would say to us, what is that to you? 5 words. And I think it's a great question to answer, to wrestle with in prayer, to go back to point 1 and pray and say, well, what is that to me? How do I feel about that? What's going on inside me? Is there jealousy, there envy? What's going on? Is there fear? What's around that? And then Jesus said 2 words, follow me. Just follow me. Don't worry about that bloke. Don't worry about that other church. Don't worry about how I'm handling someone else. And certainly don't look at their Instagram feed on a Sunday. It won't do your head any good. Don't look at it. Wait till Thursday if you're going to do it at all. Slay the comparison giant with that question and with Jesus saying, follow me. Engage a coach. Well, this is a shameless plug, isn't it? I think every pastor should have a coach. Now, most pastors don't, and the huge majority of pastors are reluctant to do this. Can I encourage you? I've been encouraging one of my good friends who has a growing church, my booming church. I said to him, I'm going to tell you his name. I said, get a coach. I said, not me. We're good friends. Doesn't have to be me. You need a coach. I've been badgering him for, 6 or 12 months, and he's just starting to investigate that journey very slowly. But he needs a coach. I think every pastor at some time needs a coach. So there you go. I won't bang on about that because it seems a bit shameless. Reflect on questions. I have a whole reflection toolkit in the hub resources I've got, and it's basically something that I do every 3 months. In fact, tomorrow is what I call my realignment day, where I hang out for a day with a whole bundle of my data, what's going on with my ministry, and a whole bundle of questions, including this reflection toolkit. And I have a Think Like a Leader toolkit as well, where I basically audit my life. And I think about things about how am I going? How's my integrity? How's my marriage? How's my family? How's my walk with Jesus? How's my ministry? Or if I was pastoring, how's my church going? What's really going on? Who am I? How am I handling my identity? How am I working with everything? Just to take some time to unplug. I'll take a whole day tomorrow to unplug. I'll go to a few different cafes. I'm having lunch with a mate also during the day. But I'll take a whole day just to stop, unplug, think, and reflect. I think it's a real crucial aspect of handling whether your church is growing or not growing. Develop leaders. Hey, when your church is not growing, you can still develop leaders. And I love it when pastors say, you know what, I'm going to get with 5 or 6 key people in my church, maybe young, maybe old, maybe mature, maybe immature, and I'm going to spend 3, 6, 9, 12 months with them, reading a book with them, praying with them, having meals together. I'm going to develop them and help them get further along. So even if my church doesn't kind of go through a growth barrier or get bigger, I'm going to have more leaders I'm developing. I find this is one of the most exciting things pastors can do is actually spend time developing leaders. I think it's crucial. I think it's important. Take a holiday. I run into too many pastors who haven't had a 3-week holiday in a long time. And if you haven't had a 3-week holiday, yes, 3 weeks with 3 weekends away from preaching, away from counseling, away from pastoral care, away from leadership activities, you will have accumulated fatigue and you will get more and more tired as you get older. You will slow down and not be able to do it. Take a holiday. Unplug. And if you tell me I can't afford to take a Sunday off, who will look after the church? Well, develop some leaders. Develop some friendships with other pastors. Get them to come in and help you for that period of time. Be innovative, be creative. But if you need a holiday, take that holiday. So important. I think actually, if I was to be really candid with you today, I think one of the reasons churches don't grow as well as they could is pastors have so much weariness in their bones, they don't have the energy and the capacity to actually lead their church into a season of growth. So maybe your best takeaway from today is to say, I'm going to take a holiday. I'm going to just take a full 3-week break. My church will be okay. And if your church collapses in 3 weeks, then it probably is telling you something else about your church, but we won't settle on that today. Renew your personal evangelism. I think this is so important to actually renew your own evangelism endeavors. And one of the things I did in leading our church to become way more outward than what it was is I really ramped up my own endeavors of sharing my faith, reaching lost people, praying for lost people, building connections and friendships with lost people. Because as a pastor, you can live like a monastic priest and never talk to people out there who don't know Christ and not build a relationship with them. And I had to shift some lifestyle things to make that opportunity work. And you may have to do the same thing. Because if you renew personal evangelism in your life, and I've got a great interview I've done with Dr. Tina Waldrum coming up on the YouTube channel. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber, about personal evangelism. That really kind of got me excited yesterday. Was it yesterday? On Tuesday when we did the interview. But I think renewing your own personal evangelism is really important to actually get evangelism and seeing people come to Christ in your own church. And that's challenging. That's difficult. I find it challenging. I found it difficult, my own church, doing that. But you've got to choose your pain. The pain of no growth or the pain of discovering again how to reach lost people and share your faith. Point number 10. Some of you may feel a bit overloaded with the download I'm doing right now. I'm hoping you're not too overloaded, but you've got a couple of ideas. Just take some small steps out of all these 10, and you can watch the replay if you feel like it's gone a bit too quick. Just do 1 or 2 things. Take some actionable steps. You don't have to do everything, but you can make some small shifts. Maybe it's in prayer. Maybe it's really dealing with that comparison giant. Maybe it is looking at your holiday. Maybe it's your visitor pathway, asking a friend to come and visit and have a look at that. Maybe it's developing leaders. Maybe it's your own personal event. I don't know. Pick 1 or 2 areas where you can just take some small steps. It doesn't have to be big steps, but just small steps. I want to talk to you about a resource that I've got, and I know there are folks here in the webinar today who are part of the hub or been part of the hub. The hub is my go-to place for training resources, and I've got a special deal for you today to have a bit of a free taste of the hub, to jump in and enjoy it. So the hub is the place where I give simple, actionable solutions for you. How do pastors actually use the hub? Pastor Carl said the hub is a more than useful tool for quick team training and also for long-term strategies. Pastor Rowan said the hub is my immediate first point of call whenever I need resources to help me or our team with a leadership challenge. Pastor Glenda said, I love the quick wins and often use the ideas to jumpstart a leaders meeting. I like the easy access to different topics. And a lot of pastors actually use the hub in a couple of ways with their team. Sometimes they'll go from a single membership to a team membership where you can add 10 of your team into the hub for just a bit of an increase in price, but you can add team members in. Or you can kick off a staff meeting or a leaders meeting with hub content. Just throw it up on a big screen, share it, and all your team watch, and you can stimulate some discussion and learning through that like others have done in the hub. Pastor Erold says the hub has been a huge help in planning, getting clarity, and sharpening our focus. So what have we discovered today? Well, I think solutions abound. I don't think that you're kind of without ideas or concepts or options. It's never down to, man, I've only got one or two options. No, there are many solutions, I think, when a church kind of gets stuck and isn't growing at the level that you want it to grow at. But here's the key. I wish I had written this proverb. I love this proverb, but I didn't write it. But nothing changes if nothing changes. I think today, I really want to encourage you to take some action out of one of those 10 steps. Maybe it's enjoying the hub. Jump in and have a free run at the hub to find out what it is. But I've also got another bonus for you today as well, which I think can help. But nothing changes if nothing changes. Do something out of this webinar today. Make a choice, make a decision, take some action. It might be even you just grab one of those levers and pull it today. Just get the ball rolling on something, at least to take some action. Now, I'm offering today, this is a special webinar special, free access to everything in the hub for 30 days. So you can jump in there, you can take it for a test drive, work it out and go, gee, I kind of like this, I'm going to stay longer. Or at the end of the 30 days, you say, you know what, John, I really don't want to pay for this. I've got everything I've got. I'm gone. That's fine. Feel free to do that. I've got courses in the hub. There's 8 full-blown courses, as well as master classes, quick wins, interviews, all sorts of content that's been built up in there. Over 9 years, the hub's been going. But I have a special I Want to Grow My Church course that really leads you step by step to refresh your visitor pathway to help you with church growth. There's a bundle of lessons there that you can go through. You can binge through them. You can watch them with your team. You can check through them all, jump through that. So even if you don't want to stay a hub member, I am happy if you join for 30 days, download it, get a hold of it, and enjoy it. Go for it. Now, actually, I say download. You probably won't be able to download. I do restrict downloads so you don't just download it all. I really want you to enjoy it when you're in the hub membership. Now, key thing I need to say, if you've been a hub member before and you've left, you won't get the freebie again. You only get one free trial, and you've already had that when you joined previously. But if you send me a message, I might be able to do a deal for you anyway to let you have some access there. And here's the bonus. Sign up in the next 48 hours. You'll get the 30 days for free. That's in the next 48 hours. There's only 48 hours, 30 days to get that bonus. But here's a bonus. I've got a new book coming out. The end of the month, Sunday Church Growth Strategies. I'm excited about this book. I'm actually doing the audio recording at the moment. The audio will be out probably in April, May, but the printed version, the Kindle version, will be out the end of this month. Join the hub in the next 48 hours and I'll send you a free print copy of this book. Wherever you are in the world, I'll send you a free print copy of this book, wherever you are, once it's published at the end of the month. So join in the next 48 hours. And you get a free book, Sunday Church Growth Strategies. And if you're already a member of the hub and you're thinking, oh, I would like a free book, I might do something special for you if you hit me up with a message anyway, because you're a great hub member. Sign up today. I'll put a link in the comments while we're going through the questions, but I'll put a link to that. You can sign up in the next 48 hours. Why don't we do a bit of Q&A? So what I'll need to do is just do a bit of a change of situation here. Let me, what I'll do also is I'll put the link through to the hub membership. So if you want to jump in and join that, you will get an email about this link anyway. So if you kind of think, oh, I'm not sure about that, you'll get a link, you'll get an email. You know what I'm like with emails. I love sending emails to people. So I will send that over to you in the next little while, so you'll be able to join that link. Let me just check through and look at questions. Just going to throw this over here so it's a bit easier for me to read. Then I'll go through some questions. If you've got questions you haven't put in the comments box, please feel free to jump in there. Let me have a look through here. Oh yeah, that's people's challenges there. John's got a question. How clear are the problems in the eye of the pastor in your experience? So they often simply not see it. That's a great question, John. And I would say that we actually need someone else's eyes on our problems, on our challenges. I have this saying that friends lend us their eyes so we can see the other side. And I think we're always only going to see what we can see. I mean, that's obvious. But I think to have either a friend, another pastor, to engage a coach or a consultant, sure, you can do that, but you can do it very informally, to ask another pastor to come and even be that mystery shopper in your church. You can ask a friend to come along and have a look at the areas of your church. Sometimes to even sit with a couple of key leaders in your church and go through this webinar, which will be sitting on YouTube. You can catch it anytime, and look at the webinar and say, look, I'm probably got blind spots here. What do you see in our church that I'm not seeing? So I think it is a real challenge for all of us. And one of the reasons I've engaged coaches back when I was pastoring, but also in my Grow a Healthy Ministry consultancy, I've engaged coaches in various areas to help me see what I can't see. So I think it's a really good question. Yeah, age me down. Oh, that's a challenge that you're fancying. I'm a fan, get a coach. Yeah, Brian, I've been working with Brian over a number of years. And look, I'm a fan of getting a coach for my own areas of development in my ministry, in aspects of my marketing, in aspects of thinking about my ministry, in all sorts of ways. I found coaching a really good help. Brian's a fan, John's really good. Another very important focus, thanks for that comment. Currently looking at some new rhythms around prayer and developing leaders. I think that's very smart. I think one of the reasons I run a realignment day every 3 months, I do a realignment day like I'm talking about that I'll do tomorrow, is I drift away and it realigns me back to what I should be doing. James, thank James, you've pushed me somewhere, I must take action. James, you're in Kenya. James, send me a DM, send me a message. I think I've got something that I want to help you with there, so feel free to message me. Speaking of change, making changes around those who are leading children and youth, which haven't been areas of strength the past few years, and training interns and a Cert 4, great. And volunteering interns are studying a Cert 4 and volunteering 1 day a week. Interns are great for that sort of area. They're challenging at times, but they can add strength to what you're doing as well. Great, there's the link. And is there any more questions? Feel free to jump in with a question. Feel free also to make a comment. Feel free if you the one area that you, even if you want to do, let me challenge you. Is there one area you're going to take action in? Why don't you jump into the comments and say, John, I'm going to take action in this area. It might be in prayer, the comparison giant. It might be the visitor's pathway. It might be in developing leaders. It might be evangelism endeavors. But what area of action are you going to take? Now, you might want to just not share that with anybody. Feel free. I'm really happy for you just to not do that. But I think taking action is the big challenge for all of us with knowledge and information and wisdom like this. So if you want to jump into the comments and either leave me a comment or say, hey, John, this is where I'm going to take some action. This thing that's really spoken to me. Feel free to jump in there with that. Sarah, after too long of a transition, uncertain with successes, we shrank a lot. Wow. How long can we anticipate to start to grow again under new leadership? Sarah, I would say if the new leadership has momentum and strength and energy themselves, and there is a passion and a desire in the church, we want change, we want to move forward. If there is that sense of momentum, both in the leadership and in the congregation, I think you can get change turned around in 90 days. Now, not in every area of your church, but I'm a huge fan of 90-day focal points. So I would encourage you to focus in on your visitors pathway or your leadership development areas. Focus in on an area of your church that you want strength in and kind of go cocoa bananas. There's a good Aussie saying for you, Sarah. Go cocoa bananas, knock yourself out, go hard on that area for 90 days to shape it up. And it may be around visitors, it may be around leadership development, it may be around prayer, it may be around making sure everyone's energized in all of that. I think I would I think in 90 days, you can make a shift. I know you can make a shift in churches in 90 days, but it does require a focus. So I would suggest you don't focus on 5 areas over 90 days, zone in on one. Because if you've come into this role and there's new leadership, you're going to have the next 5 years to go 90 days here, 90 days there. We'll have a breather, catch our breath. Okay, another 90 days. I think those sort of sprints are really helpful. Hope that helps. Let me know if that's helpful. James says, how do you treat misconduct among pastors? James, that's a really off-topic conversation, but I think if you hit me up with a DM, I'll probably help you out with that, with a personal message. But simply, I would just say, misconduct among pastors depends what it is. Is it levels of immorality, deception, betrayal, high level? Then pastors need to step away from ministry. Depends what the misconduct is. So happy, James, to take that offline. Feel free to hit me up with a message. I know you've got my email. Well, you've all got my email. Feel free to email me. Let's have a chat. If there's a long-term ministry at church that you believe may be negatively impacting growth, how would you go about talking to the leaders of the ministry, particularly if they've been at the church a long time? Thomas, wow, what a challenge. I think if you're going to tackle long-term leaders in a long-term ministry that really is declining or not working or not helping, you need to get a coalition of the willing. You need to get a coalition of elders, board members, staff members, key stakeholders who are not in this ministry, who will work with you on a solution of how do we approach these leaders in a way that doesn't cause an explosion. So I think I would get the counsel of many. There's wisdom in the multiplicity of counsel. I would go to that. Second thing I do, you may or may not like this idea, Thomas, or anyone else listening and watching, is I would definitely brainstorm what you're working with an AI, with an app, with Claude, with Grok, with ChatGPT, even any one of the apps. Now, be very careful about the advice you get from that AI app and double check it with a completely different AI app. I find if I'm really after something very specific from AI, I always double check it with another AI just to really make myself sure. But I would work with a coalition and then find what sort of approach are you going to do. Is it going to be a seed sowing that over 6 months you're going to sow a bundle of seeds and then reap a harvest? Or you're going to come in and say, look, this is where we're at. We can't keep going like this. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Some changes are going to be made, and this is how we're going to roll it out. Now, you have to be prepared. If you're going to go that strong, you have to be prepared for an explosion and how you're going to mop that up and how you're going to handle that. But sometimes it's a matter of choosing your pain, Thomas. Is it the pain of living with this thing, or is it the pain of handling the change? And also your own emotional energy. How strong are you feeling emotionally at the moment and your team? Has the church had a recent crisis, excuse me, that has really, sucked the emotional energy out of the church? Where is the church at? How can it cope with what you do? And how are you going to cope with what you do? Because you need to war game worst case scenarios and best case scenarios. So hope that's helpful. And that is a big challenge. Need lots of prayer and get prayer support for yourself, whichever direction you're going. Thanks for sharing that with us. Sarah, thank you so much. Very helpful. I'm glad that's helpful. I'm a fan of short, sharp, 90-day focal points to bring change into an area of your church. No more questions at the moment. Any more comments? I don't think anyone's been put in the area of change they're going to do, but that's okay. I can understand your reluctance to share there. But if there's no more questions in a little bit, I don't want to keep you any longer than what we need to be here for today. And I hope this is really helpful and encourage you to check, excuse me, to check out the Hub resources. Enjoy the free trial there if you would like to, and would really do appreciate you coming along. John, thank you for that great wisdom. Thank you for that. Stephen, thank you for joining us today. Thank you very much. Really helpful. I'm preaching at Stephen's church this Sunday and looking forward to that. Always great being there. Thomas, thanks, John. Pray, Thomas, that really goes well for you. That's a challenging thing in a transition. Also for you, Sarah, as you go through your scenario there, pray that the Lord gives you real insight on where to put your energy. Jefferson, thank you so much for joining us from Michigan. It's a beautiful late summer's day here in Perth. I don't reckon it's a late summer's day in Michigan. I reckon you've got a bit of snow probably around, or a little bit of colder weather than what it is here. But I do thank you for joining me from different parts of the world. Thanks, Jonathan. Now, Jonathan, where were you from? Were you from Texas? There, but thank you for turning up. Thank you for coming today. Really appreciate it. This webinar will live ongoingly on YouTube. Now, if you're not on my YouTube channel, Grow a Healthy Church on YouTube. Check it out, subscribe, catch up with the videos there. I've got 3,300 subscribers or so, and I love doing YouTube. So check me out on YouTube, check out the videos there. You can watch the replay there as well, which is great. Paul, thanks, John. Love the idea of checking out Business Pathway with a secret shopper. We'll be following up on this one. It's a great idea, Paul. It really works, and you'll get feedback that you never thought you would get, because people are different eyes see different things. Okay, folks, I think that's it for today. God bless you. Thanks so much for being with us on the webinar.